Rose Tingle.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry that Mr. Spitzer has already left. I sent an email to...
just so you know. He can't hear it.
He can? Okay. I sent an email to Mr. Kim regarding this property that Supervisor Nelson suggested he look at. And it was in regards to the fact that the county already looked at this same property in 2009 and found it unacceptable. In fact, I drove over to that property this weekend, and it's completely surrounded in buildings, solar panels. There's no access from a street onto the property. So you're wasting taxpayers' time, you're wasting our time, and more animals are continuing to suffer because, I don't know, is the county inept or are they just playing games with us? You already looked at this property. Now, I was able to see piles of documentation last year of all the paperwork created by your staff over the years concerning a new shelter. It cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and now you're doing it again. You don't have the property yet. And not only that, the grand jury said back in 2008, and animal activists have said this time and time again, you need more than one animal shelter. The population is increasing, there's mass development going on. You need more than one animal shelter.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am. All right, any other public comments?
Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Ellison. I've been a local here in Orange County my entire life. I currently live in Huntington Beach. I'm a graduate of journalism from the Long Beach State University. I'm here to represent the No Kill Shelter Alliance group and myself. I'm here to discuss the ongoing problems at the Orange County Animal Care Center. As you know, as well as a large part of our community, we have been calling for change at this facility for quite some time. Many changes are needed and many issues need to be addressed. I'm calling for action from your board to grant us a personal meeting with you to further discuss in detail the list of solutions that we have that will better the shelter and, most importantly, increase adoption rates. The issue of needed change has been obvious for way too long and is now obvious throughout even the whole country. Karma the Husky has shed light on the never-ending needless killings happening at Orange County. So many dogs are being mislabeled as aggressive or having behavioral problems. Karma is a perfect example of this mislabeling. Your board needs to know that some of the staff at Orange County Shelter have been telling the public that OC Animal Care is a no-kill shelter. This is beyond unethical and must be immediately addressed. We know this is happening because we have witnesses that have experienced it firsthand. The public needs to be aware that the animals are at high risk of being killed. The truth is, once they're put on the youth list, the dogs are given very little time. With so many open kennels, this is an unacceptable practice. Euthanasia should be only used for animals that are suffering, not highly adoptable animals. Yet another reason why we need to meet with you to discuss alternatives to these killings. Another issue that needs to be addressed is that Orange County lacks programs that provide aid to help people to redeem their dogs. This program should also include resources that provide information for professional training programs for the dogs. LA County shelters have been using these programs and having great success. Orange County also lacks a much-needed shelter prevention program. This is very important. Remember that, shelter prevention program. South LA, for example, has implemented this and successfully prevented 128 animals from entering the shelter in just 1 month. This is great success for that. OC Animal Care would greatly benefit from providing an oversight committee for all the departments in the shelter. A professional behavioralist needs to be in charge of assessing the temperaments of the dogs. They should be highly involved with the decision-making process on whether or not the animals should be made available to adopt for the public. Mislabeling dogs as aggressive is, as I said before, highly unethical. Orange County should strive to be a leader in animal care and protection. Instead, we are quite the opposite. We're actually known as one of the worst in California.
All right. Thank you very much.
you.
Thank you very much, and thanks for submitting it in writing. Next speaker, please. Jacquelyn Peter. Is it Peter or Peters? Peter? Peter? Is Peter?
Peter, but it's actually Peter because
Oh,
there's
Peter.
an accent on the first E.
All right, welcome.
Jacquelyn Peter, but I don't expect anybody to know that.
All right.
Good afternoon. I'm Jacquelyn Peter, and I'm a very concerned citizen and dog advocate, dog lover, mom, and former foster parent. On the last meeting that we attended as the No Kill Shelter Alliance on September 1st, we had asked the Board of Supervisors if we could possibly form an oversight committee. To date, we haven't received any information, and we do acknowledge that you do have other business and other priorities. However, I'd like to just read something that we as the No Kill Shelter Alliance submitted. Pursuant to the last Board of Supervisors meeting on September 1st, 2015, where the No Kill Shelter Alliance raised the possibility of forming an oversight committee to proctor activities at the Orange County Animal Shelter, we would like to reach out to the board to request a face-to-face meeting to discuss and to move forward with achieving the goal of changing the OC shelter. Here are some of the salient points that we would like to cover. Formation of an oversight committee, as we had mentioned, data access to their data, access to policies and procedures for the shelter to see if they are being followed, as well as the laws, review the role and involvement of rescue groups in the case of dogs and who save 30% according to the audit report, and who also mitigate a significant change for eliminating a lot of the killing, and licensing the revenue exploration to show how maybe OCAC could increase the revenue source by proven methods. We'd also like to obtain the OCAC's other sources of revenue and do performance goals for the shelter, discuss how saving more lives can actually become a top priority, and also a very important part is to market of the adoptable pets rather than the routine killing of adoptable and medically treated dogs. And in light of the last issue of karma, which we are very pleased with the outcome, and we thank everyone on the board who had anything to do with it, we would just like to continue the same treatment as karma was afforded and have some of the other larger dogs, the Huskies, the Great Danes, the German Shepherds, and the Pit Bulls, who also deserve that kind of saving. It's imperative that we move towards a direction of pro-life, pro-adoption at this shelter, and we are committed, with the board's help, to achieving this at the OC shelter.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for waiting all day. Next speaker, please.
The last two speakers are Nik Peter and Rose Tingle.
It's the same last name. What's up with that? Oh, she's your mom. Awesome.
Nice pronunciation. Thank you.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm Nik Peter. I'm here also representing the No Kill Shelter Alliance. And I just want to take a minute again to thank Mr. Spitzer for his work on saving Karma the Husky, and anyone else who was involved in that. That was amazing, and you got a lot of support from us as well as animal lovers everywhere. We're just really happy. And it isn't news to you guys, and also displayed by the last two speakers, that there's still a lot of work to be done at OC Animal Care Clinic. Currently, there are animals that lose their lives every week in the dozens. Animals like Karma who are killed for convenience to avoid treatment and rehabilitation and have no chance due to simple treatable conditions. Last month, the favorite justification that was used was alopecia, which is just hair loss and a very non-life-threatening disease for the animal and very treatable. This month, it seems that fly strike is their favorite, a condition where portions of ear tissue are eaten away by hundreds of flies landing on dogs who are left outside for long periods of time. The condition is treatable, but of course, if the dog is resisting treatment, according to the OCAC staff, then they are for sure doomed and probably going to be put down. No animals, even when approached by their owner, by the way, even let them put anything on their ears or their eyes except with extreme patience and trust, neither of which OCAC seems to have for its inhabitants. While the far-off fantasy of a new shelter is a good dream and goal to have, it is supposedly going to be completed around 2019, according to the grand jury report, and I feel it will be even later than that due to the extreme procrastination that has gone on already, which includes the Navy repeatedly being blamed for their incompetence, although their parcel of land also might be toxic and require massive cleanup. In the meantime, animals will continue to be routinely killed for absurd and subjective reasons, judgments made by unqualified and apathetic staff members. Unless we implement solutions now, this will not end, even when a new shelter is finally built. Such solutions, such as an intervention program talked about Stephanie, or simply fixing the several dozen broken kennels that could be used to house several more animals. I read and was told based on the grand jury report that a nice chunk of change was allocated for the OCAC budget, and I'm wondering why these kennels are still broken. The No Kill Shelter Alliance urges you to uphold your promise to meet and discuss the prospect of an oversight committee, as we discussed over a month ago. You also promised to help us fight in our improving the shelter system in general, and I feel, after your recent effort for karma, I feel confident that you will fulfill your promise. After the public outcry due to Karma's case, there are many more eyes on OC Animal Care, several 100,000
Thank you
more.
very much, sir. Just go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks.
Yes, that was it.
That was it? Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right. Your mom trained you well. All right, next speaker, please.
The last speaker is Rose Tingle.
Okay. First of all, as you know, Orange County is woefully behind when it comes to caring for animals. And I would like to present a presentation to you that was made to the previous Board of Supervisors about 2 years ago. Consciousness in Human and Non-Human Animals, Francis Crick Memorial Conference. Stephen Hawking is regarded as one of the most brilliant physicists since Einstein.
Hang on, there we go. So Joseph, what happened today in this room?
Well, this was
Can you
very historic.
raise the volume on that?
What I observed happening tonight over the dinner with Stephen Hawking and with you, Philip, having put this conference together, is that people finally came to the realization that the way in which we have understood animal consciousness was very primitive and very backward. And everyone tonight said what they've always thought, but they've said it now and signed it in a declaration for the public and in front of the 60 Minutes camera, saying that animal consciousness and human consciousness are of such similarity that we have to ask ourselves how we treat animals and why we treat them the way that we do. It was historic. It was groundbreaking.
Thank you for being here.
So I'm sure that Orange County would like to be considered a star as far as providing services for its residents. As it is right now, the current shelter has become a poster child, and this is the reason why we need action on more than one shelter. As I said earlier, we need more than one animal shelter. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
I appreciate the folks from the No Kill Shelter coming forward to speak today. I've always been a real animal advocate. I have a rescue cat that's 9 years old, and she's wonderful. But in looking at, especially with the karma issue that came up, I think that our county policy needs to be revisited. And so what I'd like to do is have you check with my chief of staff, give him your contact information, because I would like to form not an oversight committee, but just give me some input in your into the process of perhaps reformatting our county policy. I think right now when animals are brought in and then they're assessed, they're either okay or they're aggressive or vicious, and so there's no in between. I think we need a better method for classification and assessing animals, and I think maybe getting an animal behavior specialist involved would be very helpful in the process. So I want to help on the assessment and classification, and I think by getting the animal behavioralist involved, we'll have better outcomes for the animals with regard to behavior and adoptability. So we'd like to help you, have you join me in the process of fixing the policy.